I actually saw this movie 1.5 times because the first time that I saw this movie, or was going to watch this movie, I went to the 420 showing, and I sat down in the auditorium and I was watching this movie, and my manager comes in, one of my managers comes in and sits down next to me and is like, "Hey, you're not actually off today, like you thought you were." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're not actually off today. You're supposed to work at 5. So I checked my phone. It's 5:38. My shift started 38 minutes ago, and I don't have my uniform. So they pulled me out of the theater. I drove home, got my uniform, came back, started working. I don't know why they printed the passes. Yeah, that's a fun story I thought I would tell you guys. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the review of Mr. Holmes. I am the Friendly Film Fan, and we're talking about the new Sherlock Holmes film starring Ian McKellen as a really old Sherlock Holmes. He's losing his memory, but he's trying to recall the last case that he did. And so it's a character study, and this is not going to be the fast-paced, witty, BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman that we've all come to know and love so much. This is a very much different take on Sherlock Holmes. He's losing his memory, he's getting old, he's kind of wearing down. And so it's more a study about like what that can do to a detective. Now, he still does have his tropes, how he can tell where someone's been just by looking at him. But, he's aged. They made Ian McKellen really old in this movie. I mean, this guy, he looks like he's just about to keel over and like fall into the dirt. But it kind of goes through, he's recalling his last case and he's trying to put it together and put the pieces back together so he can finish writing this story, this correction of all the exaggerations that John Watson had written about their other cases. So he's trying to formulate the story and remember it. And really, that's all the movie's really about. It kind of flashes back to like sections from his last case so you can kind of piece it together yourself while he's piecing it together. And that's kind of a cool thing. Besides the relationship with him and his housekeeper's son, he has a hobby of taking care of bees, and the housekeeper's son also kind of picks up on that hobby because he just likes hanging out with Sherlock Holmes. I mean, who wouldn't? The decrepit old guy. And the kid in this movie is really good. He's a good actor. It's difficult to find like good kid actors for movies these days. So this movie is pretty slow. It's actually really slow. It is very good, and it's very well told, and you're going to get a quality thing with a BBC film. That being said, this is not the BBC Sherlock that you know and love from Netflix and all of that. This is the very slow version from back in the old days when the novels were based. So it moves at a snail's pace. It's not going to be super impressionable. It's not going to leave its marks on the cinematic landscape. It is, it's not particularly forgettable, especially after you've seen it 1.5 times, and one of those times was during your shift. It's also not particularly mind-blowing or super cool. Slow. It's a BBC movie starring Ian McKellen as an old Sherlock Holmes, and that's really about as cool as it gets. That being said, though, it is very well made, and I'm going to go ahead and give Mr. Holmes a 7.4 out of 10. There were some really cool things to see, but ultimately, it's just a little too slow for my taste. So, Mr. Holmes, did you see it? What did you think about it? Comment below this review. Let me know what you thought. Subscribe right here to this review channel. Subscribe to Friendly Film Fan. I will be bringing you more reviews very soon, and I will see you next time.